And welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. Good morning, everybody. I am Shane of PreparedGuy.com here with Scott, Mr. PrepperCon. PrepperCon.com, yes, correct. And my mic is a little floppy here, so let me work on this thing. And, okay, well, so we are switching off turns now here at the mic, and today it's my turn. So you've got the Prepared Guy here. And today, of course, let me get through our sponsors before I forget and just right into the content.
Go for it.
Because I am the content guy. I love the content. But I can't forget our awesome sponsors. I'm going to go ahead and just bring John on. We've got John on from Survival Medical. He's our guest today. And we're going to go ahead and do all our... hang on a second here. Let's bring him on here. There we go. Can you hear me, John?
Hello.
Hey, got you now.
Hear me now.
Awesome. Yeah. Now I'm going to go through all the sponsor stuff we got to do. Of course, we have the new website, ktalkmedia.com. You got to check it out. It's very cool. News, content, weather, all that good stuff like that. And of course, we have to give our props to our awesome sponsor, Survival Medical. SurvivalMedical.com has the first aid kit for everybody's needs, and the only first aid kit that is tougher than nature. And they are in Sam's Club along the Wasatch Front, or I should say Salt Lake and Logan, tomorrow, right? Correct?
We are in Logan right now. Everybody can go to the Logan stores and pick up our products there right this very minute. We'll only be there through the weekend. So if you're up in the Cache Valley area, you better go now because we pull out of there by the weekend. We are stocking the Salt Lake Sam's Club tonight. Now that's the Sam's Club. Let's see if I can remember the address. Yeah, it's 1905 South, 300 West.
3rd West. Okay.
So tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning for 11 days, you can find our products with the great Sam's Club price on them. They're at the Sam's Club on 1905 South, 300 West in Salt Lake.
And that's better than your website, right? The pricing in Sam's Club right now?
Can you hear me, John? You there?
I can hear you, Shane. I didn't hear Scott whatsoever.
Let me try this
mic.
Okay, yeah, that's the mic I've got, John.
Can you hear me?
Hey, there he is.
All right, there you go.
So my question was, the pricing at Sam's Club, is that actually better than the website right now?
Oh, it's a sight better. Yeah, absolutely. Sam's Club, believe it or not, they've got a little bit of buying power.
Yeah, I would think so.
So just like any other product there in Sam's Club, you're going to get a fantastic deal, and it's no different with Survival Medical. You've definitely got a great opportunity pricing-wise to go in there and get a great deal. There's also a great video on there if you want to learn a little bit more about our products, maybe see something in use. Shane himself is a star of one of the videos. The
really?
PrepperCon, you'll see raging through some awesome dirt tracks on the video. But yeah, it's a great deal. You can get most of our products there right now.
Awesome. Hey, wanted to also ask you, or I wanted to bring out the point is, and I want to ask you and Scott as well. I'm still getting the sense that obviously there's a lot of people that are still asleep. And the thought that comes to my head that I wanted to throw out to you guys is, man, you just don't get it, do you? I mean, I talk to family and friends, and I throw a little something out there, a little bit of bait to see if they catch the hook, right? About prepping, about getting prepared, and what happens? Do they get it at all? I mean, or just bounce back? What's your experience been lately?
Well, Shane, I think it depends on how you frame that conversation. If you frame that conversation as, are you preparing for a zombie apocalypse, or
right.
are you preparing for some very large catastrophic event? Then yeah, you're likely to get those raised eyebrows, right? Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, hey, do you have some food storage put away for a rainy day? Do you have a first aid kit because one of your kids is going to get hurt? Those are no-brainer things. I've never met anyone that argues or even looks at you funny of that level of preparedness. So I think it depends on that conversation's frame.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. I mean, there are people that don't pay attention at all, that don't have anything prepared, and they give you the classic line, well, if something happens, the government's going to come in, FEMA's going to come in.
Whatever their excuse is.
Red Cross is going to come in, they're going to take care of us. Well, until then, what are you going to do? And even through that, what are you going to do? And that's one of the reasons why I love your product line. And I'm actually excited to kind of pigeonhole you and question you and,
we're
and
gonna
see if we can stump you on
pin you down
these
today.
products.
But the reason I wanted to bring that up is, like you say, you've got your products there at Sam's Club, and when I do go into a conversation, I am speaking about a particular conversation I've had recently, and it is a very warm conversation. Bring up a little bit of food storage, bring up a little bit of this or that, but like I say, not the zombie apocalypse or EMP or anything heavy duty like that, and people still continue to go out and they buy their new cars and they get their lease payments and they're just not making those steps. So that's my question is they just don't get it. Do you not understand the situation we're in right now?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that don't care to understand.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of like being asleep. They kind of like not knowing. They feel comfortable, right? They'd rather not know because then they're not accountable.
They can finally afford that car they've always wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I've got perfect example. I've got a brother-in-law who we've been talking to him about getting better prepared for years. And he's like, well, it's not really that big of a deal. I think we're fine. If something were happening, we'd be being told. And I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. Love him to death, but come on, really pay attention. Mm-hmm. And so instead, he's going to go look at buying a brand new BMW instead of getting a used car that's a little older, that's going to last longer, and just put money towards food storage and medical.
You could take that 1 month's payment on that car and go buy an Alpha Bucket, right, John?
Oh, heck yeah. And on a BMW, you could probably buy two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Is like I'm an assistant scoutmaster. Besides being Mr. PrepperCon and doing everything I do in the preparedness world, I have a normal life. And part of that normal life is I volunteer as an assistant scoutmaster. And when we go camping, guess who has the first aid kit covered? This guy. Because I don't like the kits that they come with, that they tell you to buy at the scout office. Like, here, buy this clamshell kit. It's got every Band-Aid you need. And it doesn't have any of the real scenarios that you face as a scout. The number one thing that we have problems with, simply cut fingers.
Yep.
What is in that kit that's going to take care of that? Cut fingers, whether it's from a pocket knife or they've got splinters, from getting firewood prepped. And, that's our number one thing. Number two, the kid that's cold. Exposure. They either fall in the water,
just don't dress adequately,
or they don't have adequate clothing for the evening, for nighttime, or sleeping bags. So we run into those problems all the time, but the standard kit doesn't cover those. Now our handbook tells you everything you need to do for those, but it doesn't matter if you have the knowledge to do it if you don't have any of the equipment or the gear to do it. And so that's why I always take my Alpha Bucket when we go camping. Okay. When we do an overnighter, that's with us.
Yeah. Got line ringing, line 3. I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and take this. Hello, caller. What's your name? Oh, dang it, just missed it. Sorry about that. Give us a try back in. There we go. Yeah, give us a call. We'll try and pick you up this next time.
So let's go back to that bucket real quick. John, I want to ask you, in putting that kit together, I mean, what was the idea behind the Alpha Bucket? Because it's got the injury kit, which is what we face all the time, and then the bleeder kit. Those are the two that I use the most. But, I mean, you've got a burn kit, a tool kit, a germ kit. I haven't even looked at the germ kit. I better look at that and make sure I know what's in there. But, tool kit. Most first aid kits have one or two items. I mean, you've got tweezers, pen light, safety pins. You've got forceps. I don't know how many kits have more than one forceps. I mean, you've got a curved and a straight forceps. So that's double what else, everything else you're going to find. But you've got tourniquets, you've got glow sticks, you've got sting and bite kits, which usually you have to buy those kits each separately. You've got it all in there. So what was the inspiration behind this package?
Well, the Alpha Bucket is actually what started all of Survival Medical, Scott. The whole concept of Survival Medical started right there with that Alpha Bucket. And the idea was to have everything your family could possibly need in large quantities in the event of an emergency. And the Alpha Bucket was designed specifically for the preparedness community. The Alpha Bucket's designed if you can't get to the hospital and you can't get to Walgreens or you can't get to wherever you normally go when there's a medical emergency. If you can't get there, that's what the Alpha Bucket's designed for. It's your home hospital storehouse in a bucket. And not only do we want to cover virtually anything you could run into for an indefinite amount of time, we also want to have enough of it in there for a large family. And then, as you know, and as your listeners hopefully know about our products, the biggest thing that sets us apart is we also wanted it to be viable when the time comes. Because we don't, just like our food storage, we don't know if it's going to be next week, next year, 10 years, 15 years from now. Mm-hmm. And so the problem has always been, up until Survival Medical, the problem has always been, buy the best first aid kit in the world. Fill an entire room full of first aid. 18 to 24 months later, 90% of those items are virtually worthless. Your Band-Aids stop sticking. Everyone has had that experience. Your ointments dry out. Everyone's had that experience. Your cotton gauzes get yellow and brittle and don't work anymore. Mm-hmm. That's the majority of first aid kits, those three different categories right there.
Oh, yeah, I've experienced that myself many times.
Absolutely. And so the whole concept, Scott, was to have an entire hospital storehouse in a portable bucket that was completely protected from any of the elements. Dirt's not going to affect it. If your basement floods, it's not going to hurt. If you're bugging out down a river, it doesn't matter. In any scenario that you put it through, it's going to be fine, including time. All of our products are going to be good up to 20 years as opposed to your normal 18 to 24 months. We're literally the only first aid kit in the industry that has solved that problem. And you're looking at a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of very brilliant minds working on how to make that packaging system happen.
And that's one thing that I've really come to appreciate about your products. And just along the same line as food storage, you have to rotate stuff. But you buy the 20, 25-year, 30-year life food products, and you just have to just put it away and you forget it. And like you're saying, I've had my jump kit in the back of my rig for about 15 years. And, yeah, all the products, they're all in terrible condition. If I had, one of your kits.
You're a bad prepper. They're in terrible condition.
They're in terrible condition. I need to go back through.
PrepperCon.com.
They still work, right? I haven't used it in 15 years, so why am I going to use it tomorrow, right?
Because tomorrow's when it's all going to hit the fan.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Anyway, so as we're coming up on the break here, let's go over real quickly. I guess the other products you've got. You got another bucket as well. You got that birthing bucket, right?
That's right. We've got a birth bucket. We actually just shipped a couple of them down to Utah yesterday. There must have been some ladies talking about it because a couple of them I noticed went out to Utah yesterday. But the birth bucket is designed for home birth. I delivered both of my oldest children at home.
Really?
And I did. That's right. And I've had the opportunity to be a part of many home births, actually. I've spent a lot of time living in the middle of nowhere in the mountains.
Now, did you do that on purpose, or was that? Was it planned that way?
Yeah, so my oldest boys, that was absolutely the plan.
Wow, you're a brave man.
And the thing about birth, is we've got society. Forgive me, ladies, for having a male opinion here, but hopefully I'm representing you as well. We've got a society that sees birth as an emergency, instead of a very natural act. And the thing about it is, it doesn't take a whole lot of things to have a baby. You don't really need that many tools, but with a few products, the comfort level of mom and baby are just through the roof. And our birth bucket, on our website, you can buy them for $89.99, and there's everything you need in there for 4 home births. Now, any ladies that have ever looked up home birthing kits will realize the bargain there. That's not a whole lot more than what you usually pay for enough products for one. And there's enough in there for 4 home births. And again, it's all going to be ready whenever you need it. And Shane, I'm sure you've thought this out. You're a thinker. This is something a lot of people don't think about in emergency preparedness, but there's 2 things people do when they're stressed out, and one of them is eat. I'll let everybody's imaginations go where the other one is. But the birth rate skyrockets when there's natural disasters.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And let's talk more about that when we come back from break. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio here on K-Talk, AM 630 KTKK, where Survival Medical is our sponsor, and they provide the toughest first aid kits, tougher than nature. We'll see you on the other side of the break. And welcome back to the show. Prepper Talk Radio here on K-Talk AM 630 with our wonderful sponsor, John of Survival Medical. And we were talking about birthing buckets, about natural childbirth. And I loved your point of view on that, John, is that we don't have to be scared. It's a natural thing. It's not an emergency.
It's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Outside of hospitals, outside of, obviously, we've definitely improved, and our mortality rate is, is much lower, and it's much, obviously, we definitely need to go to the hospital and plan on having our births there. But John,
hold on.
Okay,
I know you're
and I was thinking,
beat up by a bunch of people that are thinking.
I'm thinking as I'm speaking there, and I know John's going to disagree with me there, but
look, I think doctors are great. I think there's a lot of great use for them, and in many cases, you absolutely need one, right? However, I've got aunts, I've got cousins, I've got sister-in-laws that do home births, and
everybody thinks they're crazy for doing it, right?
I think they're brilliant. It's
Exactly.
simple. The thing I love about it is it's less. What's the word I'm looking for? Less traumatic.
Less traumatic. That's a perfect
right?
word. Yeah.
It's less traumatic. You're creating an environment to welcome a child into the world instead of, hey, let's throw you on a cold table in a bright light and spank you and make sure you're. No, I don't want my kid to come into the world that way. Yeah. And what did we do for thousands of years? We came in a peaceful, quiet, darker. Environment, which was more natural for the child, better for the child to adapt to, easier for them to transition.
And on a physiological level, all of your natural antibodies are in your home. You build those up. You take a birth outside of that environment, and it's exposed to completely new elements. That's a whole huge conversation with home birth, guys. The pluses and benefits of it, and there's plenty of sides to that debate. The point is, there may come a day where you don't have an option. Right now, it's cute. We can all sit here and weigh the pros and cons, and you can sit down when your wife's pregnant and say, do you want to have a water birth? If you want to go to the hospital at the last minute, that's great. We have that opportunity now. There might be a day where that opportunity doesn't exist. Yep. And I can tell you can get it done with your pocket knife.
Some shoelaces.
It's not all that comfortable. It's going to be a little messy, and your wife's not going to be very happy with you if that's all. If she's given birth in the middle of the living room floor, and a few items, it changes that whole experience. And our birth bucket has everything you need to make that a comfortable, healthy, safe, and clean experience.
So, how do you recommend someone practice this technique? Because obviously, everything takes practice in order to overcome that level of fear. Of having, especially something as critical as a home birth. How would you recommend going about learning how to do that?
Great. There's the home birth. It's really nice because there's only really one place to point. There is a leader in the whole movement, Ima Mae Gaskin. If you just Google Ima Mae Gaskin, Ima Mae Gaskin, she lives in Tennessee. This woman has all kinds of information out there on home birth that is incredible. She's got all kinds of books. She's got all kinds of free resources on the internet, on her website. I would go on there, being a prepper, I would go on there and just print some of that stuff off now, maybe read some of it now. But in all honesty, Shane, a woman's body knows what it's doing. And so it's kind of just our job to get out of the way in that situation, has been my experience. And again, just having a few items around is going to make that more comfortable. I mean, for instance, we've got hot packs in the birth bucket. The reason being, traditionally, like in a home birth, it's nice to put a warm washcloth on a lady's lower back while she's having contractions. It really helps with some of the discomfort. In an emergency situation, you may not be able to get to that hot water, and so we've got the hot packs in there that you just crush and shake, and you're good to go, right? Cool. So, yeah, that's just one of our many products that, it shows how we've thought out every different scenario that you might be caught in, from everyday things that can happen when your kid's at soccer practice to, birth in an emergency situation. Our bleeder kit inside the Alpha bucket, I mean, that product alone, that kit alone, this is a no joke, designed to save your life. I mean, from a gunshot wound or a chainsaw accident. I mean, this That Celox powder and SWAT feed tourniquets that are in there, those save lives. They save lives.
Very critical stuff. And so typically when you think of first aid, you think Band-Aids, you think Neosporin, you think those types of things. But when it comes to the more critical issues, that's when it really becomes important. Band-Aids, yeah, you can do with a cut hand for a little while, with that discomfort, and you can deal with a minor infection. But when it comes to serious trauma, that's when you absolutely need to have those supplies on hand. You just can't do without them at that point.
Shane, you did it on accident, but thanks for the setup. Actually, I disagree with you.
Okay, perfect.
Neither one of those is more serious than the other when we're talking about a grid down or emergency situation.
Okay.
That small little infection on your finger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's follow the what ends, so the what then trail, right?
Perfect.
So you cut yourself on your knife, and you don't have proper medical supplies to clean it and close it. Mm-hmm. So then it gets that. Then you go farther down that train of thought, and then you get that little minor infection. Well, Shane, now you can't just run to the doctor and get your amoxicillin.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
That's not an option anymore. The doctor's not there. Okay, so then what happens? Now you've got an infection. Now your hand swells up, and you lose mobility in your hand. Now this can become life-threatening for your entire family.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it your job to protect your family? And if you lose that mobility due to an infection there, and you're sick, can you keep your family safe? Can you chop wood for your family?
Yeah.
It's little things, and this is what I like to stress to people when we have the opportunity to talk, whether it's at an expo seminar or what have you, is in an emergency situation, you need to think about first aid completely differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we think of today as being just a normal, no big deal incident can absolutely be life-threatening for you and your family when we're talking about an emergency situation.
Absolutely, especially in, like you say, the grid down situation, when you don't have those other resources. Yeah, nowadays, the kids that were at soccer practice and someone gets an abrasion or something like that, yeah, you can deal with that a little bit later. But like you're saying, in a grid down emergency type situation, that must be addressed as quickly as possible. You just want to avoid getting that infection altogether. That's the important part. You don't want to have to treat the infection afterwards.
Have you thought about what kind of condition you would leave your family in if with just a bad twisted ankle? Imagine that. You're in a bug-out situation. You've got to get from point A to point B, and you've got to do it on your feet, and you've got a twisted ankle. Well, heck, who thinks anything of a twisted ankle right now? In that situation, your entire family's safety is in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Or someone has on some uncomfortable dress shoes, and you've got to get a long ways to get back home, and you got blisters. I mean, that's just as simple as any other situation as well. And I'm looking at the On the Move kit I got in front of me here, and got some moleskin in there. I love that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's great. All of our portable kits, the On the Move, even down to the ultralight, super small and cost $13. I think is what they're selling it for at Sam's Club. All of those have moleskin in there. I think that's a very, very versatile product, and that anyone, again, going from point A to point B is going to come up with reasons to use the moleskin. Heck, even I've got a buddy that's a very primitive bushcrafter, and he likes to use it for the blisters he gets on his hands.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I think that's one of the most often overlooked item in first aid is basic foot care, and hand care, because those are the two extremities of our body that we use the most, and that
we use the least right now.
Well, that we use. Well, it depends. Some people, yeah, but my hands. I mean, I've always got cuts and scrapes and scratches on my hands, but
a little bit of calluses on
let's turn the grid off, or let's say, hey, we just had an earthquake. Now, what am I doing to keep those bacteria free and clean? And I think that's John brought up a great point that, that maintenance right there, keeping the germs and keeping the infections away, that's critical.
Absolutely.
Because if I can't work, I can't take care of my family. I can't protect my family. I can't gather more wood. I can't help prepare meals. I can't, I become part of the problem instead of part of the solution.
And there's nothing I would hate more than that, is being part of the problem instead of being part of the solution. I'll tell you that. One thing I wanted to bring up, when we're talking about first aid or anything in this category, there are 5 words that come to my mind. It's what, when, where, why, and how. those always just jump out to me. Okay, what am I going to use? How am I going to use it? Where, when, and so forth. And so I think that applies perfectly to first aid in particular. So I wanted to kind of dive in and talk a little bit more about the how. Unless you had some other stuff you want to talk about, John. I know you've got and you got another couple of different buckets, don't you? You've got the Bravo bucket as well.
That's right. You'll see the Alpha and the Bravo available in the at Sam's Club there. The difference I like to explain to people is that just the size of family is what it's designed for. The Alpha is designed for a large family, and so it's designed to treat some of the basic things over and over and over and over and over again. And as opposed, the Bravo bucket does all the same things. You'll notice the name of the kits in the Bravo is the same one as in the Alpha, just with the added word light. So nothing really changes. It's just less of it. So the Bravo bucket, for instance, we've got a ranch up in the mountains. We keep the Bravo bucket up there. We keep the Alpha at home base.
Okay.
And so if I had I've got 6 kids too. If it was me and my wife and 1 or 2 kids, then the Bravo bucket would probably be sufficient if that's what I was planning to take care of. But it's just a matter of scope and size, and of course money as well. I mean, the Bravo is going to be, I think they're selling it for right around $175, $180, somewhere right in there in Sam's Club. So again, you're really catching some extra savings when you go to that Sam's Club. And just to remind everybody again, there's a lot of Sam's Clubs in the Valley. The one we're specifically talking about is right now in Logan, and then as of tomorrow, Salt Lake City Sam's Club, which is 1905 South, 300 West.
You know, and I think people, if you've got a chance to get over there, if you've got a Sam's Club membership, get in there. If you don't, they'll let you do a tour. Go through there, at least watch the video, at the very least. Educate yourself on these products. This is what I carry in my car. This is what I carry in my backpack. I have the Backpacker XL when I go camping, when I go on 50-mile hikes. That's the one I take with me. I've got the ultralight when I do just day-to-day. That's always in my everyday carry kit. But they're simple kits. They're easy to carry. They last a long time. And if I'm not using it, it's not going bad. That's the thing I love the most, because I'm used to buying, I'm used to spending an extra $50 every year on replacing
wasted stuff. Yeah,
all the wasted stuff on my first aid kit. And I'm really spending about maybe 10 on replacing the things that I've used. So $60 a year is what I'm spending. 50 is what I'm wasting. Well, now that I'm using these kits, I can open my kit, and correct me on this if I'm a little off, but for example, I had to open my Voyager kit the other day, but I just resealed it. I mean, it's a resealable Mylar bag, but I reseal it, and it holds the atmosphere that you've created in there, and it's still good up to 20 years. It's still good, another at least 5 years? Is that right?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't affect anything. The great thing about our packaging system is a lot of people look at it, and they, immediately it looks like food storage packaging systems that they're used to. And it is very similar. It shares a lot of commonalities. But unlike food storage, you don't have to have everybody get hurt at once. In other words, food storage, you open it up, you got to eat it all. Yeah. Eat it all today, you open it. You don't have to all get hurt at once when you open up our products. Open it up, get what you need, squeeze as much of that air out as possible, and then use that heavy-duty zipper to close it back up. And then our built-in moisture control system goes right back to work. So you're absolutely right, Scott. It doesn't hurt the shelf life at all as long as you make sure it's sealed. Now, you can't, just like any other sealed bag, you can't leave, half of it open. But if you make a full seal on that zipper seal there, our system goes right back to work, extending the shelf life for all of those items.
Fantastic.
Very, very cool. Excuse me. Now, I've got the On the Move kit here in front of me, and there are a few things that really stand out to me in front of here that have, I guess, become more popular in first aid kits here in the past couple of years. And the one that jumps out to me is this Quick Clot. This, how would you describe that? What do you use that for?
It's a hemostatic agent or a rapid coagulator. And to break it down real simple so everybody understands what we're talking about, it's going to make your blood clot faster. Celox powder is the raw powder, and we have that in the bleeder kit inside the Alpha bucket. Quick Clot is when that same type of hemostatic agent is impregnated into a gauze.
Oh, okay.
And so you can you want to pull that out. You know, if you've got some severe bleeding, that gauze is impregnated with that hemostatic agent, and put it right over the hemorrhaging area, and you're going to see a rapid decrease in blood loss.
So what kind of wound would you use that on? You're not going to use it on just a basic cut or abrasion. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bleeder. I mean, this is something you have in your bleeder kit too, correct?
Well, the Celox powder is what's in the bleeder kit. It's the
Okay.
same type of product. I mean, they're very similar in usage. The Celox powder, the difference is the Celox powder is really designed. It came from the battlefield. If a soldier stepped on a landmine and was bleeding out quickly, Celox powder was designed to come in there and save that soldier's life.
Okay, so
and it
scenario-wise that we're going to face, you know, because we may or may not face a landmine. Most likely, I'm hoping I never do.
Yeah.
But let's just say, I used to live in Arizona. I used to do a lot of backcountry backpacking. Let's just say I'm out and I get attacked by a javelina or a boar. For those that, you know, it's very similar to a boar. It's just meaner.
Yeah.
It's smaller. It's got 6 to 7 inch tusks that are coming out of its mouth. They're teeth. But they're sharp.
Mm-hmm.
That rips my leg up quite a bit. How do I use this? Will this work on that?
Absolutely. So if you've got severe bleeding there and you're worried about blood loss, the Celox powder would be your number one go-to. Or if you've got the quick clot gauze, you want to just quickly grab that gauze, put it over the bleeding area, and give it a lot of pressure. Pressure is always the best first to go to with severe hemorrhaging. But the products that are in that quick clot is going to help that blood clot quicker to stop the bleeding faster.
Perfect.
Okay, when we get back, I'm going to ask you some more questions, bleeding scenarios, but we're running into a break. Remember, for everyone that's listening, this is Survival Medical, our sponsor. We love these guys, survival-medical.com, or hit them up at the Logan Sam's Club, or tomorrow at the Salt Lake Sam Clubs on 300 West.
All right, Scott, bring us back in there.
All right, well, Survival Medical. You've heard the name week after week after week. They're one of our sponsors, but one of the nice things that we have here at Prepper Talk Radio is we've got the ability to yay or nay who we allow to sponsor our show.
Amen.
You know, we get to vet everybody out. And so we're very fortunate that John and his team at Survival Medical make a superior product. They make a product that I believe is changing the industry for the best. Something that's long overdue, and it is different. So when you look at first aid kits, you're like, oh, okay, I'll go to kit. Yeah, I got a kit. That's how it's been for years. Now there's products out there that you can find all day long and say, oh, this one's better than this one because,
Or they've got a cool bag.
They've got a cool bag. Well, you're now spending $50 to $100 on the bag.
Yeah.
That you could have spent on medical equipment that's going to last longer and save you. And so
You get more for your money.
yeah, and so I love Survival Medical. I mean, it truly is tougher than nature. I've actually seen them take these products and toss them into the Snake River up in Idaho, and they float, and they're waterproof, and it's awesome. And you go downriver and trudge through the water, and you can grab it and pull it right out, and it's fine, you know. And so I think, okay, let's beat it up a little bit more. And so I took my Voyager kit out of the truck, and I kicked it around for a while in the woods. Mm-hmm. The bag didn't puncture, thankfully, because I kicked it into a spiny tree bush thing, and I'm like, oh crap, that was a dumb idea. But it lasts.
Thick Mylar,
you know.
yeah.
It's thick Mylar. It's not these cheap bags. And so, but I want to bring back the scenario. So for those of you listening in, this is Survival Medical CEO John on the phone with us, talking about their kits. You can get them at Sam's Club in Logan right now, and also the Sam's Club in Salt Lake City. Give us that address one more time, John.
It's 1905 South, 300 West, Salt Lake. And we'll be there starting tomorrow for 11 days only.
Okay. So you got 11 days, guys. If you're in the Salt Lake area or even within a half hour, just get over there. You got 11 days to check these products out firsthand, see what they are, feel them, you know, find out just how tough these things are. Get one. You will not regret it.
And if you've got a TV monitor showing some cool videos of your products and of the PrepperCon Forerunner, Evader, and some fun stuff, and my son, and yeah, it was fun.
So I want to go back to my javelina, scenario. Actually, let's make it more realistic. We're in Utah.
More critical.
We're hiking. I got a stupid cougar jumped off of an embankment above me, and
knocked you to the ground.
It gets into my leg, right? It's more bleeding than I'm used to. I think he's hit an artery. But thankfully, I had my sidearm. I shot him 3 times, and he whimpered away. But I'm stuck there bleeding. John, what am I going to have in the on-the-move kit that's going to take care of that situation? I'm really bleeding.
Dump that sucker out, and the first 2 things you want to grab is that quick clot and the SWAT 2 tourniquet. Grab that quick clot gauze, put it directly over where you're bleeding the most, put some pressure on it, and then grab that SWAT 2 tourniquet. Now, for people that aren't familiar with the SWAT 2, man, I love the heck out of this product. It was designed by a Navy SEAL combat medic, and it stands for Stretch, Wrap, and Tuck. This thing is so simple. Anyone under any conditions could use it, and that's why we put it in our products.
So if I only had one working hand, could I put that on myself?
Absolutely. All you got to do is wrap it. It's that simple. You just wrap it around, and with one hand you can wrap it around, and as you wrap it, just pull as tight as you can. The nice thing about it is it's the material it's made of is gonna bind and create that restriction that you need. So just wrap it as tight as you can, and then when you're done, you tuck it. It's simple. It's the most simple tourniquet on the market.
Cool.
They work fantastic. And again, they're absolutely foolproof. You don't need any practice. You don't need any training. You don't need to read anything. It's got pictures of shapes on the tourniquet that gives you instructions. I believe they're diamonds, and it says turn these until they're squares. And so you just stretch it, stretch material. And when a diamond turns into a square, you wrap and tuck. It's that simple.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Okay, so now I've survived the cougar attack.
What was that, John?
And then you want to grab the cougar and make a hat.
Okay, so that well, it's still alive. It's bleeding out because it doesn't have its own
right, its own tourniquet or
and quick clot. So it's bleeding out. I then track it down. Well, I fashion myself a nice walking stick to get my mobility back up. But I want to kind of go back to another scenario.
But most likely you're not by yourself.
Well, oftentimes I am.
I should say, hopefully you're not by yourself.
Yeah, my family knows where I am, so I'm gone an extra 4 hours longer than I need to be because it's just taken that much longer with my little new walking stick that I've crafted.
Hobbled out of there.
It's getting cold. It's getting scary. What am I going to do now?
John.
I just open up that kit, and what's in there? There's a Mylar blanket. That'll help keep me a little warm longer, right?
Absolutely. It's incredible all the usages you've got with those the Mylar blankets. Holy crap, that could be a whole show talking about everything
That's
you do
true.
with the Mylar blanket. But yeah, absolutely. You get a little cold, put that on you. It's incredible. I've had one for years, but honestly never played around with it. This is terrible to admit, but I'll do it. Last winter, I wanted a nap. I was in the warehouse up here, so I went to the warehouse. I wanted to take a little nap. It was a little chilly. So I opened up a survival blanket, threw it over me, and kicked back the recliner. And holy smoke, it didn't take 2 minutes before I had to kick the thing off. That thing reflects your body heat like crazy. Holy smoke.
Yep. So it'll keep you warm, and it's an emergency thing. It's not something you can use over and over and over and over. It'll last you maybe 3 or 4 uses.
But it's also your shelter. It's
right.
not just a blanket to keep you warm, but it's actually your shelter and part of your survival. Your 3 hours out in the exposed elements and severe weather, that's your shelter.
Absolutely. And so,
and guys, you'll notice on all of our portable, all of our kits there, like the On the Move and the Ultralight in the backcountry, all of those are pretty expensive on petroleum products and cotton. Shane, you got any guesses why?
Petroleum products and fire making.
There you go. So we go very expensive on all of our kits that we like the Backcountry series and the On the Move. You'll see a lot of extra petroleum-based products in there, like a triple antibiotic ointment. You'll see a lot of extra cotton gauzes. Well, there you go. That's why we like to think about redundancy. If you need to start a fire, all you need is spark.
Very, very cool. That's awesome. And I'd like to go heavy when I go packing. So the On the Move kit is kind of my go-to kit, even though it is, what's the weight on this thing? I don't see a weight on here. But yeah, you're about a pound or so. So it's not small. It's not like the ultralight kit. But I like to go heavy. I like to have everything with me. So this is kind of my survival kit as well as just a basic first aid kit. It's more than just a basic first aid kit.
So
Absolutely. Shane, I don't know what else you would add to a first aid kit that's not me on the move. That's designed to be our most expensive portable kit. It's got it all, and it's got a lot of it.
So let's talk about what else you guys have at Sam's Club, because this is fitting the bill for anyone that's hiking, backpacking, prepper, or focus on preparedness. What have you got for someone that's a fisherman, or what have you got for someone that's a boater? Do you have medical kits and stuff like that for those scenarios?
We do. You name the scenario, we've got a kit for it, Scott. If you go to survival-medical.com, they can see all of those different kits and all the components. What's in the Sam's Club there in Utah? We were specifically aiming for the preparedness folks there in Utah, and so the kits that you'll find there at the Salt Lake City Sam's Club and the Logan Sam's Club, you're going to find the Alpha Bucket we've talked about, the Bravo Bucket. Those are 2 bucket kits that are there. The On the Move that we've been talking about, and the On the Move Light, as well as the Backcountry and the Backcountry Ultralight. And so you've got a product for any budget and any activity. They're all in there. I think they're selling those ultralights right around $13, and I think they've got our Alpha Bucket as cheap as like $390.
Are you kidding me? Wow, that's awesome.
Give me a couple of those.
Because I bought me one of those at PrepperCon, and you gave me I think 15% off. You were running a sale, and I'm like, sweet. So I got one, and I just might go buy another one.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
So,
Well,
I love this topic because I think there's a few topics in preparedness and survival that are often overlooked or neglected. I should say more neglected. We throw our first aid kit in the corner and kind of treat it like that redheaded stepchild. Sorry if you're redheaded and a stepchild. I don't mean to disrespect you, but there's a reason there's a phrase that goes around. We don't want to neglect first aid because first aid is going to be the thing that saves us.
And one thing about these kits is that they're they can be very specific. Just like you've got your fishing kit, right? You've got your backpacking kit, you got the light and so forth. And I think some people think, oh, I've got a first aid kit, I'm good. And they don't really know what's in that first aid kit. It's just a generic first aid kit, and they really don't know what's in it or how to use it. Whereas this is much more simple to use. These are much more simple to use. So I'm going backpacking. Do I want to go light, or do I really want to kind of go heavy? I'm going to grab the backpacker kit or the fly fishing and so forth. So I think that's definitely unique that way, in that you know what you're getting. It's not just, oh, I've got a first aid kit, grab it off the shelf, and you're good to go, just depending on how much money you want to spend. This tells you exactly what you're going to have, you need for your particular activity.
Yeah, that's right. And Shane, what's important to remember, too, is it's not, number one, like you pointed out, it's not just stuffed full of Band-Aids, right? Here's something I want everybody to know. Our parent company, Survival Medical, we're one of the nation's largest medical supply distributors. Chances are, if you've been to the hospital or you've been to a surgery center, or if you've been to a care facility, there's about 60% odds that those supplies in that store came from our parent company. And the point being here is the exact same products that you'll find on your hospital shelves is what's inside of these kits. And that is very unique in the first aid market. Typically, first aid kits are a completely different quality than what you would find in an acute care or EMS setting. That is not the case here. These are literally the exact same products that we sell to over 50% of the hospitals in America. The exact same products are what's put into these kits. But because of that relationship also, guys, is why you're going to see those prices. We had a lady on our social media that went to the store in Logan on Friday, bought some kits, and said she went back on Saturday and bought some more. Who does that with first aid kits? Nobody gets excited about them, but I'll tell you why. The reason is she got home, opened that up, and saw the value that she got, and decided to go back and get some more. What we're offering is completely unique, not only in the aspect if it's going to last when you need it, no matter what you put it through. It's also going to be unique because of the quality of actual hospital quality. But that price is a price that, frankly, you're not going to see anywhere else out there because no one else can do it. Our position in the marketplace is very unique, and we pass that along to our customers because we believe in this product. This is a very serious thing to me. I hope you can hear that when I speak about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
again.
I believe absolutely that first aid is something that is all too often overlooked, and the whole point of Survival Medical was to change that because there's a triangle that I believe in preparedness, and that's beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. And without one of those three, you're not truly prepared. And all three act together. You've got to have all three. We can't underestimate the power of being sick in an emergency situation or being injured in an emergency situation. Guys, it's every bit as important as your food and every bit as important as your protection. All three have to work together, and we can't overlook it anymore. Times are too serious. The stakes are too high.
Well, and I like that you point that out. I mean, the stakes are too high. When it comes to your family, when it comes to your preparedness, if you're missing one of those three ingredients, you are not self-reliant. Not even close.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know, and most of us, we're looking for self-reliant, lifestyle. We want to be able to say, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And if we don't have the ability to be self-reliant and take away those borders and the mindset that someone else is going to save me, if you always live that mindset, you cannot leave the city. You cannot leave the hub of where everything is. Well, my opinion is if you're stuck in the hub of where everything is, that is the most dangerous place when the crap hits the fan.
Yep.
I would much rather be up in the mountains enjoying life. I would much rather be on a road trip going to somewhere cool with my wife, and living and enjoying life and having that peace of mind. And so every time we load up the car to go somewhere, for example, we drove 3.5 hours up into Idaho this last weekend for a family reunion.
Mm-hmm. And that's where people go for their weekends, for their holidays. They go into the mountains because they want to get away from the busy.
Or they go into a bigger city far away. But anywhere we go, we always have at least one 72-hour kit because all of ours are for two people, right? And I say 72-hour kit with kind of tongue-in-cheek because I believe in a 96-hour kit minimum. And I have things like snares. I have my my Voyager kit, and I've got an on-the-move kit in the car. I've got my first aid kits covered, but then I've also got a backpacker ultralight kit in my secondary bag. But I've always got bags. I've always got extra food, fire starting equipment. I've got shelter everywhere we go. And guess what? That gives me absolute peace of mind. So if you want peace of mind, make sure you're covering all the bases. And if you're missing out on medical, go to Survival Medical. Even if you have medical, go to survival-medical.com right now. Check it out. Check them out at Sam's Club this next 11 days, starting tomorrow in Salt Lake City. Thank you, John, for being on with us.
John. Always great to have you on.
We appreciate you so much.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to Prepper Talk Radio here on AM 630 K-Talk, KTKK.